What's up, NBA fans? Dom2K on the mic, and I am absolutely exhausted right now because NBA 2K18 has pretty much dominated the last 24 hours of my life, and it all happened for a reason. First of all, I basically forgot I was still in school because we're still out from Hurricane Irma right now. We've been out down here since like last Thursday. A lot of people don't have power, there's been trees on the road and everything, and yeah, school got canceled, so a lot of us forgot we were in an academic year, including me, and it was actually sort of helpful because it allowed me to carve out some time where I could just know life on 2K basically and act like I didn't have any responsibilities, and that's exactly what I did. I wanted to make sure before this weekend was out that I got up my first impressions of NBA 2K18 because a lot of you know I'm a huge 2K fan, but I had a huge problem with NBA 2K17 and with the release of The Neighborhood, which is pretty much the most ambitious mode I think 2K has ever put in one of their games. This was a really highly anticipated game, so I wanted to play the hell out of it, get all the takes I could on it, and just tell you guys all my feelings about it in a first impression video. Obviously that means things are subject to change, and a lot of feelings probably are going to change, but I'm just telling you what I think now. So maybe you haven't bought it yet and this video might help you make a decision, or maybe you have bought it and then you can see if you agree with any of what I'm saying. So we're going to start off discussing the MyCareer mode and their addition of The Neighborhood, because that was basically the big selling point for NBA 2K18. That was basically the mode that a lot of people saw that just made them say I have to have this game, and a lot of people including myself were on the fence. We hadn't pre-ordered yet, and that made us go put down a pre-order. So let's go ahead and discuss that. First of all, I love The Neighborhood because it integrated MyCareer into an online mode. In past years you've had MyPark and then you've had the MyCareer mode, and it's almost been like if you're like me and you didn't really like MyCareer, you would kind of choose what to do. I've always hated MyCareer offline. I always felt like it was too easy. I hated the stories, so I would basically only use the park function. But this year it's really encouraged me to actually go on the offline mode and play the story mode a bit more because it's so damn easy to do. Whenever you load your MyCareer file and you're connected to online, it's going to put you straight into The Neighborhood with a lot of other 2K players. It's going to put you by your facility, and then you can just decide what you want to do. So if you want to go practice, you can do that. You want to go buy some clothes, if you want to go train in the gym, you can do that. Or you can just get on your navigator and go straight into your next game, which is super easy compared to when you had to quit MyPark and then go to MyCareer, because again, if you're like me and you just never cared about the offline mode, it was a big bother to get off of MyPark and then load into MyCareer, and this makes it super easy and kind of encourages you to just keep playing. Speaking of that, let's talk about MyCareer. So I'm pretty sure if you're playing NBA 2K18, you were probably around for NBA 2K15, and I don't know about you guys, but that's back before we had an app to scan our faces into the game, so we used the PlayStation camera, and that was a huge pain. I will never forget trying to scan my face in NBA 2K15, and it took me at least 100 tries to get it right. This year it was very easy. You just pick up your phone and you use the app, you scan your face into the game, and it doesn't take more than 10 minutes depending on how fast the uploads go. And then on top of that, the scan came out really good. I actually ended up doing mine twice because I didn't have enough of my face in the camera the first time, and it came out looking like I was Chris Move. I posted it on Twitter and I was like, bro, I look exactly like Chris Move right here. So I did it again and it came out looking more like me. It almost looks exactly like me. It's scary how accurate it is. As far as the story mode, in typical 2K fashion, it's terrible like it always is. The story for NBA 2K from back when you had Jackson Ellis in NBA 2K14 to I don't even know what happened in 2K15. 2K16 was that horrible Spike Lee story. Last year was that orange juice bullshit and the president. Oh god, it was so bad. This year the story is corny and bad as usual, but it's not as cringe as it usually is. Despite having the Asian girl that's in your apartment all the time, which I don't know who at 2K thought this was a good idea, but every single one of her cutscenes have been terrible, they've been annoying, and I can't wait until the patch comes out when we can skip them, because I am going to skip all of them with pleasure. Aside from that, your teammate isn't as bad as he normally is. There's always some kind of basketball relationship, whether it's the opponent or it's an actual teammate. And this year with your teammate, I feel like if you were actually on a basketball team, you could imagine that maybe you guys would talk to each other like this. It's not as bad as it usually is. But you know what, none of this really matters in the long run because I don't play NBA 2K for the story. I just thought I would mention it since it's something I've talked about in past videos. So if you haven't bought the game, the part you're probably interested in, especially for MyCareer, is the actual gameplay. And how is the gameplay? Because that's something I was talking about with the artificial intelligence in NBA 2K17. Well, for the most part, the MyCareer computer still seems kinda dumb. You know, I'm playing it on Hall of Fame, but I still feel like it's way too easy. I feel like I was able to dominate the computer without much effort, and my character was only a 78. I was able to use the same moves over and over again, and the computer never really adjusted. We just had a game against the Thunder, which we won by like damn near 40, and I'm playing for the Boston Celtics. I'm not playing for the Warriors here, so I don't know how we were beating the Thunder by 40, but hey, it happened. And on top of that, the coach keeps pulling you out of games that you're dominating. You can have 20 points and 20 rebounds, but if it's scheduled for you to not play in the fourth quarter of that game or in the second half, the computer still pulls you out of the game, which doesn't make any sense because I feel like that's something they could have adjusted by now. As far as my actual AI teammates, they're a little bit over aggressive. I think they shoot way too much and they shoot way too early in the shot clock. This might just be overcompensation because I can kind of remember one of the big problems that people were saying with MyCareer was that their teammates wouldn't shoot enough or that they wouldn't do enough. So right now I feel like my teammates, if they're even open for half a second, they let it fly, and that's not always a good thing because they can be open for that half a second and then in the other half they're contested, so they just ended up taking a bad shot. Especially your actual teammate, the guy that takes you as his rookie, he shoots way too damn much and his field goal percentage is poor, and maybe that's just a thing on my team, but yeah, he's shooting every time he gets it. Another big problem I found is that when we're running plays, because I have it set for my team to actually call the plays automatically, so when we're running them, they don't wait for me to set the screens. I'm a big man right now. I'm a power forward for the Celtics because that's what they needed, and whenever Kyrie calls for a screen or whenever the play calls for me to set a screen, sometimes they'll start moving before I even get there. And that's basic basketball 101. If you're going to get your big man to set the screen, let him actually set the screen so you know you can actually use it correctly or it doesn't get called as a moving screen. I'm pretty sure in real basketball you don't just go as soon as you call for the screen, and I've ran into a lot of instances like that. And my last gripe that I had with the gameplay, which you probably only experience if you made a big man, is that the players seem to get stuck to each other way too much, and that causes you to get 3 seconds in the paint like all the time. So sometimes I'll be trying to run across the lane, or I'll be trying to, run to the other side of the court, and then the player will get stuck to the defender, and next thing you know you're in the paint for 3 seconds and they call it on you and it's a turnover. Pretty sure that happened to me about 3 or 4 times last night. But with all of that being said, these are all the things that I noticed annoyed me about the game. These didn't happen every single play, and overall it didn't keep me from enjoying MyCareer. I'm about 10 games in right now, and for the first time in a while I can see myself actually finishing the MyCareer story or getting to the playoffs or championship or whatever. So I'm gonna keep playing it and I actually enjoy it. Those are just some overarching things that I think need to be adjusted. So switching back over to the neighborhood a little bit, I actually like that 2K seemed to take some of the ideas that I put out in a video about a year ago. It was a video about the things that 2K could do to create the perfect 2K game, and 2 things that stick out, which I don't know if they were coming anyways or if they even watched that video, but I specifically mentioned that your MyCareer guy needed a house because back in NBA 2K7 you had a crib. Before you even had MyCareer, before that mode existed, you had a crib that you could decorate, and it was a house for a player that you didn't have. Well, now it really seems like we have a house. I know we had MyCourt since about NBA 2K16, but now it seems like more of an actual spot like NBA 2K7 was. It's a place where your court exists that you can decorate and invite people over to. You have a couch and a widescreen TV where you can actually sit down and play 2K. I thought it was just going to be something stupid where your character sits down and grabs a controller, but no, you can actually load right into a quick game, which I'm not sure how many of you care about quick games, but I sorta kinda do. You have a closet where you can change clothes and a little spot right next to that closet where you can see all the shoes that you own, so I think that was a nice addition. And I think it was creative to have it in a high rise, so it feels like you actually have somewhere to go and crash now, whereas before it wasn't really connected to the outside world. It's an entire thing now. It's a neighborhood and you actually have somewhere to go crash in the neighborhood, so I think that's pretty awesome. Of course, one of the first things we saw in the trailer was that they added Foot Locker and an NBA store. I gotta say I was a little bummed out that you couldn't actually walk around the stores because that's what I was expecting, but again, this is something else I mentioned in that video a year ago. If you go back and watch it, I was talking specifically about NBA Live 2005, and the feature they had in there was they actually did have like a Foot Locker. You could walk in there and you could see the shoes and you could see the jerseys and you can go buy what you want, and that's almost exactly what they have here. I'm pretty sure they're gonna take this idea and run with it, so like a year or 2 from now you probably will be able to walk around, but for now I'm just kind of glad they added it. Now, what about all the other extracurricular activities we saw in that trailer? Because in the trailer you saw people playing like mini basketball in the arcades, you saw that there, you saw the barbershop, and most importantly you saw a place that you could go work out. So what do I think about all of that? Well, an honest impression of this is I think these are things that are gonna get stale really quickly. It was exciting on the first night to go play mini basketball in the arcade and then to go leg press and squat and bench and all of that stuff, and yes, it does help you with striving towards leveling up your player, but I'm not gonna lie, unless they update it, these are things that I can see people not using from, about a month or 2 from now. I don't think anyone's gonna be that excited because it's just not that fun, honestly. I don't want to make it seem like I'm complaining because I actually do applaud 2K for the extra mile here and the effort and the creativity, and I definitely think it's an idea that they should build on. I'm just saying personally, when I did it last night, I went and did all the workouts and it's cool and I'll probably keep doing them to level up, but with the whole simulated workout thing, it's not something that I really think I'm going to be having fun with a month from now. However, what I will be having fun with a month from now is the thing that you can do in the MyCareer practice facilities, because you actually have a ton of drills you can work on to try to get your badges, and I love that because it seems like there's a ton of options. The drills are actually fun and they help you on your timing with your jump shot and whatever moves you're actually working on, and it really reminds me of what we used to do in NBA 2K11 when you had those drills and you worked for, I think it was skill points back then. It seems just like that, and it's even better because it's not just you, it's you and a bunch of teammates and coaches, so they went the extra mile there, and I really love that idea. And the last thing I have to say about MyCareer, I guess I'm going to be ending on a negative note here. They got really greedy with the VC this year. They got so greedy, in fact, that you can't even preview your haircut. Of course, when you first do the face scan, you pick a generic haircut just to start the game. Then you go to the barbershop and you have a nice cutscene. And then you find out you're sitting there, you can't preview your damn haircut. And these things cost 1,000 VC. So if you mess up, you got to spend another 1,000 VC just to fix that fucked up haircut. I thought that was pretty slick of them, and I don't know why they did it. Luckily I got mine on the first try, but I know a lot of you were probably pissed if you had to spend 2,000 or 3,000 VC just to get the right haircut. And then on top of that, when you do the upgrades, this has already been mentioned, but you can't see the numbers of what you're upgrading. All you can do is keep pressing the right pad, and you can keep going until you see the number actually change to like your overall, but you can't see your actual numbers next to the attributes, which you used to be able to see. So yeah, 2K is getting slick with the VC, and that's become a huge money game for them. So now I'm going to move away from the MyCareer section because I think I've said everything I have to say about it for now. Overall, I think I said probably a lot of negative things and made it seem like I didn't like the game, but I had a lot of fun with it. There's things that I think need to be fixed. However, I really love the creativity and effort that went into the neighborhood this year. I love the design, and you know, even the parks, I plugged straight into my router so I didn't have a ton of lag, and other than having some really bad teammates, I did have some fun there. So overall, with the way they've integrated MyCareer into a fully online mode where you can jump back and forth from the story mode straight into the parks and whatever else you want to do, I think MyCareer has taken a huge step up this year, and I really enjoy what they did there. So now we move into other modes because I spent most of my time on MyCareer. I didn't get to things like My Team and My GM yet. That's going to come later because you can only do so much in 24 hours. And here's what I'll say. First of all, when you first load into the game, it can be really discouraging because you're going to notice it looks exactly like NBA 2K17 with a coat of paint on it, basically. That's what it looks like. The menus are the same. They just have some like red design on them now. I'm pretty sure the sounds are the same. Play Now Online is almost exactly the same. It looks the same. I'm going to talk about that in a minute actually. And I guess they realized that not many people care about Blacktop, I'm assuming. I mean, I actually used to love Blacktop. However, they just copy and pasted it straight from NBA 2K17, and I hated NBA 2K17 Blacktop. I don't like how they wear shirts instead of jerseys now, and they changed absolutely nothing. They simply ripped that mode straight from 17 and put it in this game. And I guess they figured they'd get away with that because, again, people are mostly playing the MyCareer and My Team, and not many people care about Blacktop. Let's be real, that's a novelty. So, you know, I'm not going to spend too much time on that. However, we're going to talk about Play Now Online because they did change some things. So in my 2K17 video, I talked about some things that they could do to make Play Now Online better, and I will say they didn't do exactly what I said, but they fixed some things. So first of all, there's 5 tiers right now, and they completely revamped how they tier the teams. So the all-time teams are ranked in tier 1, the classic teams from all the 1990s and the 2000s, those are tier 2, and then 3 through 5 are the teams that we have today. So that means the 16-17 Warriors, or actually they would be the 17-18 Warriors right now, they're actually in tier number 3, which means if you're searching a certain way, I don't think you can play the Warriors against some of these classic teams. So basically, NBA 2K17 suffered from the state of the NBA as far as online teams, because the Cavs and Warriors were so much better than everyone else, and there just wasn't that many other teams to use. There weren't that many good teams, and that basically meant if you wanted to use a decent team online that wasn't the Cavs or Warriors, you were going to be playing against the Cavs or Warriors, and most of the time you were going to be outmatched. And that was basically the way it went until you finally got into the tier where you could use classic teams, and that took for freaking ever. But 2K has acknowledged that problem this year, so now everything's unlocked. As soon as you go to Play Now Online, there's no need for you to try to rank up so you can finally use these teams because they're all at your disposal. You can use every classic team, you can use every all-time team, you can use whatever team in the game you want, and I absolutely love that because I was really dreading having to play so many games before I could finally use some of the teams that they added. And that's what I spent most of today doing. Honestly, playing online today is the most fun I've had playing online in an NBA 2K game since probably around NBA 2K9. I used a bunch of the all-time teams, and if you use an all-time team, needless to say, you can only play against an all-time team because that's only fair, and basically everyone's using the Los Angeles Lakers, it looks like. I think I ran into the Lakers, I ran into the Magic, and I honestly don't even know who else I ran into, but I was using a variety of teams. I jumped on the Warriors, I used the Celtics, I used the Rockets, and I just had so much fun with that because it's basically an even stage. Yeah, some of the all-time teams are better than the others, but for most of the rosters, there's just so much talent on there that if you know what you're doing, you can give yourself a fair chance to win. And since I was playing a lot of online today, that meant I got to play 5-on-5 basketball, which is different from MyCareer when you're just controlling one player. So what did I think about that? Well, there's some issues there too. One issue I found there is it's actually kind of it's comparable to one of the other 2Ks when they first came out, and I can't remember exactly which one it is, but the basketball feels way too loose, and it resulted in a bunch of turnovers in every game I played, and it wasn't just me, it was the other guy too. I don't even really know how to describe the problem I'm talking about. It's one of those things that if you play a lot of online or you play a lot of 5-on-5 ball, you're probably gonna notice it too. However, I will say I did like the gameplay for the most part. I spent a lot of time playing 2KU in the prelude before the game actually came out, so I've been absolutely abusing people in the post, and I suggest if you're going to play online, you learn how to do a post game because a lot of people aren't going to know how to defend it. The mechanics feel pretty nice, the dribble moves feel pretty nice, and even though I said the basketball feels really loose, I'm noticing some of the animations that used to force you to lose the ball aren't really forcing you to lose the ball in this game. So there used to be a lot of annoying animations where you would just do this spin where you stand in place and the ball would immediately hit the other player's leg and it would roll away from you, and I'm pretty sure I saw that same animation in this game, only the ball didn't roll away, thank God, because that was so damn annoying having people kick the ball away. So I don't know, again, that's something I'm just gonna have to get more time with the game because those are the type of things that generally pop up the more you play. I did like the animation that actually allows you to fight for the ball now, so if there is a loose ball, you can run towards it, and instead of just tapping the buttons like a wild man trying to pick it up, you can actually see what you're doing while you're scrapping for it, so it really makes you feel like you have some kind of control over what's going on there. And as far as the actual graphics of the game, they look nice and they look better than NBA 2K17, but of course on these consoles, the graphic improvement is really only minimal every game. You can really only go so far on consoles. If you were talking about PC, I'm pretty sure they could keep going and going, but with consoles, yeah, I will say the graphics look better, but it's not anything, you know, groundbreaking really as far as compared to NBA 2K17. And so coming up to the end, I saved the most important thing for last. How are the servers on this game? Because that's everybody's main gripe with 2K is their goddamn servers. Well, first of all, this is only the first day. The game actually hasn't even officially released. It's only out for the people who pre-ordered it. Of course, a ton of people pre-ordered it, but I don't know, it's just really hard to judge right now. What I did is I didn't even bother with the wireless connection because I never trust 2K servers. So I plugged straight into my router and I got some good games, but I found something really weird. I didn't get too much lag when I was playing on Blacktop, but when I was playing against people online, it seemed like when there was a quarter change or when somebody took a timeout, when we came back, the game would really lag and it would stay that way for a really long time. Again, I'm not really sure what to do about that because I had the best connection possible being plugged in, and I know a lot of people will say, oh, it's just your trash internet, and of course the people who actually played 2K for a while will know that 2K servers have always been a problem, but just like I said, when I plug into my router, or even when I'm not plugged into my router, I can play tons of other games with no problem that require, I would think, more server strength. You play something like Grand Theft Auto with 32 people online or Battlefield with 60 people online, and those games don't lag, but you know, you want to play 2K with one other person, and for some of us, you know, I never understood it. For some reason, that's too much for the servers to handle, and it seems the same way this year. So we'll see what happens when I go back to school. Generally in every 2K, whenever I plug straight into my router, it really minimizes the problems that I have. So if you're in a situation where you can do that, I suggest that you get an Ethernet cable and you plug it into your PS4, plug into the router, and just go from there. I'm gonna stay plugged in the entire year. I'm not even gonna attempt to play 2K over wireless because that's just not gonna work. It hasn't worked and it's not gonna work. So that's what I'm going with this year. And since I'm coming up on 20 minutes, I'm gonna go ahead and end the video. That was my first impression of NBA 2K18. And in this video, it might have sounded like I said a lot of negative things, but really I was just trying to point out the things that I think could be better. Overall, I had a lot of fun with the game. There's a lot of things to love about it, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be as bad as NBA 2K17. Really, I was trying not to overreact about the things that I like, because I know when you pick up a new NBA 2K game, we're all excited and we're all happy about the new features, and sometimes that might cloud your judgment. I know I picked up NBA 2K17 last year, and the first thing I did a few hours later, I made a post on Instagram talking about how the gameplay was smooth and all this good stuff, and it turned out being the worst 2K of all time. So I barely had the game for 24 hours. I just kind of wanted to reserve my great feelings about it and see how they last, because that's the real testament to how good a 2K game is. It's really knowing that the game is gonna have some detractors, it's gonna have some bad things, and seeing if throughout the year those, you know, kind of overshadow the good things about the game. So we're gonna see. We got a long way to go. Anyways, feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. You know, if you agreed with what I said or you disagreed. Let me know if there's any bugs you found, and definitely talk about the servers because I want to know how that's working out for you guys. Hit the like button, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed. Hit the bell next to my name if you want notifications on my videos. I'm Dom2K, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.